Hi, very good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the CA class. Before moving ahead, can you please confirm is the audio and video good? Anyone? All good? All right, thank you. So let's begin with the first segment. Just a second. Today, the first news which we have is regarding WPI based inflation. So the wholesale inflation has fallen down to 14-month low in May 2025. WPI CPI related जो आपका monthly data है, इसके लिए I have already discussed this thing with you that such monthly data are important but not of so many months, right? So you can try to memorize these facts for say 3 or 4 months, maximum 3. So 1 and 2 months just before the examination. But WPI और CPI का जो static portion है, जैसे base year, the maximum component, minimum component, all these are important. Okay? So this is something which you need to remember. Now here the news says India's wholesale price index WPI based inflation. WPI आपका measure करता है inflation in goods only. Remember, it does not measures inflation in services. It only measures inflation in goods. CPI measures inflation in goods as well as services at the retail level. और WPI measure करता है wholesale level पे, as the name only suggests. तो WPI based inflation 14-month low है of 0.39% in May 2025, and the data has been given by Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And if you see food inflation, it has dropped to 1.72% as well. So food inflation भी कम है, inflation कम है. That's why only you see recently RBI ने repo rate और cut किया था. Also CRR etc. were reduced. So this repo rate cut is only the best indicator which you can gauge to assess the inflationary situation in the economy. Now, as I told you, the static part, remember the base year of WPI is 2011-12. Base year आपको ध्यान रखना है, सीधे questions बनते हैं. And what you need to remember as well is manufactured products का maximum weightage है इसमें 64.23. Remember this. WPI में maximum weight किसका है? This is another probable question. So this is manufactured goods. Manufactured products 64.23. Then next one says periodic labor force survey. So PLFS survey का आपका जो bulletin है May 2025 is out. PLFS survey now I think you all will be in a position to understand, क्योंकि PLFS से related जो भी terminologies हैं जैसे labor force participation rate, workforce participation rate, and also current weekly status, usual status, all these in which they are measured, we have discussed them in the ESI classes, the offline classes, right? So now you will be able to understand. Let's see monthly bulletin में क्या update है in PLFS. So first of all, you know, it is released by MOSPI, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. First of all, labor force participation rate अगर हम देखें, labor force participation rate in current weekly status, CWS, current weekly status में, I'm not going to repeat these things because I know ESI में हमने discuss कर लिया है current weekly status, usual status, so I hope you all will be remembering. Labor force participation rate for 15 years and above is 54.8% for May 2025. 54.8%. और LFPR rural urban की अगर हम बात करें, in rural areas it is 56.9, urban areas 50.4. Male female का composition देखें, so male of 15 years and above age in rural areas and urban areas respectively जो है 78.3 and 75.1. Particularly for the male population, both in rural and urban areas respectively, and females of age 15 years and above, both in rural, only in rural areas, was 36.9% during May. So these are certain data. यहाँ पर सबसे important जो है May का 54.8 आप ध्यान रखेंगे, और rural, urban and male female distribution. Then worker population ratio. Worker population ratio आपको पता है, it is the people, only those who are employed. It does not include the unemployed, right? So worker population ratio again measured in the current weekly status CWS. Age group 15 years and above. Rural areas के लिए इट इज 54.1, अर्बन एरियाज के लिए 46.9, मई 2025 में ओवरऑल 51.7%. फॉर फीमेल इन रूरल एंड अर्बन एरियाज were respectively 35.2 and 23% in May. And overall female WPR अगर हम देखें 31.3. तो overall भी अगर आप याद रखेंगे that would be sufficient. Unemployment rate, very important fact. What has been the unemployment rate? Yes, Avirup, whatever news which you get in the PDF, you have to cover them, right? Sometimes there are certain news which are factual only. They do not require in-depth analysis. So you might get those things in the PDF. You have to cover up them. All right. So let's see the unemployment rate now. Very, very important fact. Unemployment rate also in the CWS status, current weekly status, May का 5.6%. ये आप ध्यान रखेंगे, 5.6%. Status अगर हम देखें, it has increased from the earlier. You see, April में it was 5.1. So unemployment rate has increased. That's why it becomes more important. Female unemployment rate was touched higher at 5.8% compared to male unemployment rate of 5.6%. So here we have gender inequality. Female unemployment rate जो है वो ज़्यादा है. In rural areas, employment shifted. So this is a peculiar observation here, that in rural areas, employment has shifted away from the primary sector, जैसे agriculture, etc., to secondary and services sector. तो ये एक important shift हमको देखने को मिल रहा है Indian economy में. Now, employment, agriculture sector, the primary sector is not only the sole employer. Employment opportunities are shifting away from the primary sector to secondary and tertiary sector. The PLFS also highlights this. So that was about the PLFS, etc. The next news is Meesho. Meesho आप सबको पता है, online shopping platform है, application है. Meesho gets NCLT approval to relocate to India, clearing path for IPO. Meesho has got this approval from the NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal, to relocate its headquarters from US to India. Now, if it relocates, then it would open up the option of IPO for Meesho as well. Regulatory bodies news में RBI has relocated its Andhra Pradesh regional office to Vijayawada. Okay, so here TB Ravi Shankar, the Deputy Governor of RBI, has inaugurated new office of RBI where in Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh. This is fact, pure fact. You will remember this thing. And the currency management for Andhra Pradesh will continue to be conducted by RBI's office in Hyderabad. यहाँ का जो currency management होगा वो हैदराबाद ऑफिस से होगा, लेकिन विजयवाड़ा में उनका भी regional office होगा. Then TRAI has launched pilot project for digital consent management in partnership with RBI and banks. So Telecom Regulatory Authority of India has launched a pilot project in collaboration with RBI. That's why it becomes important, and selected banks as well, to tackle the persistent issue of spam calls and messages. बहुत सारे spam calls आजकल आ रहे हैं, आप सबने भी witness किए होंगे. Spam messages आ रहे हैं, उनको tackle करने के लिए this is the partnership between TRAI, RBI and selected banks. With this partnership, they will be establishing a digital consent management system under Telecom Commercial Communications Customer Preference Regulation, in which businesses will be required to acquire and register consumer consent digitally. जितने भी businesses इसमें involved हैं, consumer consent उनको digitally acquire करना होगा in a secured manner, interoperable registry maintained by telecom service providers. तो consent यहाँ पर जरूरी होगा, कोई भी अगर आप information ले रहे हैं, so that spam call से आप consumer को परेशान ना करें. Okay, this is the partnership. Then moving ahead with the banking news here. HDFC mutual fund hybrid funds AUM tops rupees 1 trillion. So here HDFC Balanced Advantage Fund has become first hybrid mutual fund scheme in India to achieve 1 trillion rupees asset milestone. यानी 1 trillion rupees asset achieve करने वाला, this is first such hybrid mutual fund scheme in India. पहले आप नाम याद रखेंगे, HDFC BAF, Balanced Advantage Fund. Now here, remember what is hybrid mutual fund. Hybrid mutual fund क्या है? Which invest in say equity segment as well and debt segment as well. Equity में आपका हो गया stocks etc. और debt में आपका हो गया like bonds. Okay, so this is the idea of first hybrid mutual fund. Hybrid mutual fund क्या है? दोनों में इन्वेस्ट करता है, सिर्फ एक सेगमेंट में नहीं. So in such category, HDFC Balanced Advantage Fund has become first to achieve 1 trillion rupees asset milestone. Now this is important. Remember the fact. National news की बात करते हैं. Prime Minister to make historic first visit to Croatia. Now this is again important. The Prime Minister will be undertaking an official visit to Croatia on 18th June itself, today itself, and this is going to be first ever visit by Indian Prime Minister to Croatia. So creating milestone or history. So that's why remember what is Croatia's capital? Zagreb. It is going to be first visit by any Prime Minister of India to the country. Capital भी आप याद रखेंगे, Zagreb. Next one, International Day of Yoga to be hosted by Visakhapatnam. Very very important fact. Pure factual question जो इस segment से आते हैं, you can expect. First of all, what is the theme? International Day of Yoga, is observed 21st June. It is going to be 11th edition, 11th International Yoga Day. Remember the theme. Theme is Yoga for One Health, One Earth, or Yoga for One Earth, One Health. Now, very important, national host city कौन सी है? That means in India, which is going to be the host city for this 11th edition, Visakhapatnam. This is an important fact. Okay, Visakhapatnam is the national host city for this year's International Yoga Day in India. Then moving ahead, largest tribal empowerment campaign has been launched by Ministry of Tribal Affairs. So here, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs under Government of India has launched Dharti Aba Jan Bhagidari Abhiyan. This is a nationwide campaign across 549 tribal dominated districts, 207 PVTG dominated districts. PVTGs क्या होते हैं? Particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Tribes may be those who are very much backwards and vulnerable, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. PVTG, so 207 PVTG dominated districts, and get support from multiple ministries and stakeholders. So basically इनके upliftment के लिए it has been launched, okay, for better governance in these tribal dominated districts. Next one, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship has organized a workshop recently, which is Kaushal Manthan Regional Workshop. Kaushal Manthan Regional Workshop, okay. By Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. कहाँ पर हुई थी? हैदराबाद, तेलंगाना. इसके कुछ highlights हैं, we are going to discuss. Establishment of 2 new centers of excellence. They were announced. नए centers of excellence हैं, 2. They were announced in Hyderabad and Chennai. Okay. So basically, National Skill Training Institutes in Hyderabad and Chennai. Remember these 2 locations. Out of 5 which were proposed. तो 5 proposed थे, उसमें से हैदराबाद और चेन्नई यहाँ पर है. Then Minister firmly directed that craft instructor training scheme certification be made mandatory for all newly recruited instructors, particularly in newly established such ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स अक्रॉस दी स्टेट्स. जो भी इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं ऐसे बन रहे हैं उसमें सर्टिफिकेशन प्रॉपर होना चाहिए इंस्ट्रक्टर्स का जो रिक्रूटमेंट हो रहा है उसके लिए. ठीक है, इतना बस आपको ध्यान रखना है. यहाँ पर 2 सेंटर्स ऑफ एक्सीलेंस दे वर लॉन्च्ड, हैदराबाद एंड चेन्नई. देन नेक्स्ट वन, is India joins the elite global group for Rinderpest virus cattle plague containment. So here, 92nd General Session of Organization for Animal Health was held in Paris, 29th May. India was represented by Alka Upadhyay, Secretary to Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Ministry of Fisheries. At National Institute of High Security Animal Diseases, Bhopal, has received international recognition. The ICAR National Institute of High Security Animal Diseases, located in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, recognition for what? For it. And this recognition was provided from or by two global bodies, World Organization for Animal Health and FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations. Rinderpest क्या है? Basically cattle plague है, which was one of the most destructive livestock diseases in history. तो यहाँ पर इस स्टेटस का इंडिया के लिए क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है? It says that India is capable to safely store and manage Rinderpest virus materials. जितने भी Rinderpest virus materials हैं, we are able to safely store and manage them, and this recognition acknowledges the capability of India. ये चीज है यहाँ पर. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का आपको नाम ध्यान रखना है जिसको एक्नॉलेज किया है, और ये लोकेटेड है आपका भोपाल एमपी में.